I'm Sarah Sprickbiner, co-host of the Glossy Beauty Podcast, here with Lexi Levzak, our West Coast correspondent. How are you, Lexi?
I'm good. I'm really good. I'm at the Glossy Beauty and Wellness Summit right now up in Napa, and it's been going so well. So many great speakers, and me and Jonathan Van Ness are best friends now. And we had a great conversation, and that's my news.
I saw him like 2 years ago, and one of my most resounding memories is he had an amazing manicure with different cats on every nail. So my question for you is not about our summit, but if he has a great manicure.
I did not check out the nails, but I did see an amazing head of hair. I can report that. Nice, like air-dried curls, awesome dress, very cool attitude, and got, I think, the only round of applause during a panel. Emily Jensen, our senior reporter, handled that panel and, got a great round of applause. It was a really good conversation and just like so honest. You know, like just not trying to make it seem like they don't have challenges.
Yeah.
JVN was on with Teresa Lowe, the president of JVN Hair, and also a great speaker. She was awesome too.
Amazing.
So who is the podcast guest this week?
Well, the podcast guest today is Jill Biren, who is the co-founder of JB Skrub. This brand was inspired by her sons. She co-founded it with Julie Bowen, who I feel like is such a familiar face to basically anyone with a TV because she starred on Modern Family for so many years and also a boy mom. And like in this year that I feel like we've all been talking about, you know, Sephora teens and like teens, you know, using Drunk Elephant and Bubble and Sol de Janeiro and all these brands, like Julie and Jill founded this brand for tween and teen boys, recognizing that nothing was really speaking to them.
It is the moment of teen boys. People are talking about teen boys a lot at the summit right now as well, about how they love hair products, about how they want their own beauty products, and about how they absolutely love fragrance. It's a whole thing.
And I've been thinking about this a lot too. And I even, you know, really told, you know, Jill what little personal experience I have with the topic, telling her a story about my two younger cousins and giving my cousin, I like literally children's ages because I am not yet a parent. It's like in one ear and out the other. Like every time I see my little cousins, I'm like, you're what, 12, you're 10. So let's go with that. My little cousin is 12, the girl. I'm like, I don't know if I should say their names. And the boy is 10. And so the girl, I brought her all these products, you know, to our family celebration of the break fast at Yom Kippur. And the boy, his mom, who is my first cousin, told me that he wanted a cologne. And all I could think was, oh my gosh, this is so crazy. I'm living the headlines, right? Like
I'm living the headlines.
Like, because we had been seeing this, you know, in the news of like the New York Times had run this big story about teen boys wanting like $300 colognes. And the only cologne that like true men's product I had in my apartment was this Jean Paul Gaultier cologne with this like very like graphic male body bottle. Oh. I know. Like, can you kind of picture what I'm talking about? I know. And I like sent her a photo. I was like, is this okay? I know it's kind of inappropriate. And she was like, it's fine. Like, I don't
You're at this
care.
religious dinner and you're like, here is this sexy man perfume.
For like my 10-year-old cousin. I'm like, here you go, your first cologne. And so then he sees his sister, his big sister, with, you know, all these lip glosses and whatever. And I could tell he was jealous and I felt really bad. But I was like, do you want all of this? And later, my cousin's like, I can barely get him to put on his deodorant, Sarah. So we had this really funny conversation that I promise all of my rambling does connect back to the brand because their essentially tagline, this kills me, is pits, nuts, butts.
No.
Yes. Like that is the copywriting. I believe Jill said that Julie came up with this, that this is like how she taught her sons. Like, these are the essential places that you must wash yourself
I can't.
in
I
the
can't. It's too
shower.
funny. That's awesome. I mean, hey
They,
man, I have a lot of respect out there for the boy moms because it must be so much work. And I mean, I remember when my brother was little, when I was growing up, and he was always like smelly and not wanting to shower, and like it's true.
no, because I don't have a brother and I have this one little cousin. And like, I feel like, I grew up with one sister. Like, I honestly feel like I have not spent the same amount of time around like young boys that maybe other people have. And that's part of why it was such like an interesting conversation to me. And like, asking her about the marketing, like, well, how do you even get to these boys? Obviously, a lot of it is through the moms.
Through the mom, yeah.
And even through, she told us a very sweet story about a grandfather who saw Julie on television because obviously, Julie being famous, brings a lot of awareness to the brand and helps them in that way. But
That's so
it's
funny.
super interesting because the girls,
Yeah.
they're seeking it out. They're seeking it out. Like they
So
want, yeah.
So do Jill and Julie, do they have the boys, like their children, like in the ads and stuff? Are they part of this? Or is it more of just like, we're boy moms, so we know what we're doing?
That's a really good question. Jill said that both of their sons have been very involved in like, essentially like smell testing products and sort of
Yeah.
feel testing them. I don't know that their actual likenesses are used. Maybe they have been, and like I didn't realize that that's who I was looking at in sort of social media assets.
But they're not leading with that.
No, they and
Okay.
they've led a lot with like Julie's face. I asked about sort of how they use different social platforms differently, and Jill said that sort of on Instagram, they are really more talking to the parents. The brand is only about to hit its second birthday, and Jill told me that her aha moment was sort of packing her son for camp and realizing she couldn't send him to camp with like a baby body wash. And then she
Mm,
sort of went to Sephora and went to Target and like, she didn't say this, but I sort of pictured the aisles, right? And I was like picturing, these like
Axe body
pink,
spray.
yes, like either the super, because
It's
she
like
spoke about
Johnson and
when,
Johnson or Axe.
yes, because when she spoke about, I asked like, okay, well, why not a men's product? Which probably to her sounded like a really dumb question. And she spoke about exactly what you said, like the super heavily synthetically fragranced products. And then I'm sure that what she felt, again, I'm somewhat maybe speaking for her more than I should, but like that everything else felt super feminine, maybe for what her son would think. But what was really funny to me, did you go to sleepaway camp?
Um, I went to Girl Scout camp when I was really young, but I don't really remember like bringing anything.
That's what I was thinking. Like, I viscerally remember caring deeply about like the clothing that went in that duffel bag. And like, I said this to her, like, this was the era of like Abercrombie and Fitch. And I cannot remember a single brand in terms of a personal care product that seemed like it was like a must have. And if that doesn't, in my brain, speak to like how much things have changed, then like I don't know what does.
Yeah, truly. I think I was too young to like, care about the right lip gloss or the right sort of like, shampoo when I went. I think I was like pretty young. But yeah, I can totally see how this market is like just really ripe for the products. And I just Googled it. I have seen this line once before. I saw it online. And I was kind of like, oh yeah, it's like very colorful, very
Very
fun.
colorful.
It's like obviously looks very geared towards young people. It seems pretty complete. Face pads, body wash, body spray, face wash,
They
face
just launched
lotion. Yeah,
shampoo. Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, they have a body spray. Something that blew my mind because, I heard about this brand probably, let's say, as beauty editors and reporters do, like a month before it launched, let's say. So a little over 2 years ago. And they started working on it 8 years ago.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah.
What took
Yeah.
them so long?
I know, right? I mean, she said partially the formulation, and they chose to do it on their own. Like, obviously,
Oh,
Julie
smart.
being a celeb, yeah, like they could have worked with an incubator with Julie being a celebrity, but they ultimately, not that other people can't work with an incubator, but it certainly gives you
No, for
access.
sure. Hmm.
And they, I believe custom tooled a lot of their packaging.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it took a
Cool.
long time.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh. Wait, I'm so
yeah.
excited to hear this episode.
It's a fun one. Like, I think going into it, I didn't realize how fun I thought a conversation about tween boys would be, having no personal connection to, except for like one, I guess, in my own life. So yeah, I hope you like it. Hi, Jill. Welcome to the Glossy Beauty Podcast.
Hi, Sarah. Thanks for having me. I'm thrilled to be here.
Thank you. I'm so excited to chat with you today. We are talking about your brand, JB Skrub, which feels, we're reaching the end of 2024. And when I look back on my year, tweens and tween beauty has been one of the biggest, personal care, what have you, has been one of the biggest themes. So before we get into it, let's hear about sort of your background and how you came to found a brand that is, I'll let our listeners hear about the brand from you, but primarily geared at tween boys, but has found an audience beyond them as well. What were you doing before JB Skrub, and how did you land at creating this brand?
Yes, thank you. So first of all, I am a boy mom. I have two sons, and I have always been a working mom. And prior to launching JB Skrub, I was working in publishing on the advertising and marketing side. I worked for Condé Nast for 16 years in Los Angeles. And I was very fortunate enough to work for iconic brands such as Women's Wear Daily and Vogue. And I represented all beauty brands, or all beauty, the category of beauty across all brands. So Allure and Glamour and Vanity Fair and GQ. That enabled me to have access to meet with some of the most incredible beauty brands that are located, headquartered here on the West Coast.
Which is so many now. Yeah.
Which is so many. It's exploded. So I loved what I did. And I had this, again, great opportunity to have access to working with the CEOs, the general managers, the formulators, the marketing teams. And over like 16 years, it was a tremendous education. And ultimately, what happened was, as my sons were growing up, their needs were changing. And I was also noticing that in the market, the landscape was changing and how brands were speaking to their consumers was changing. My son, my oldest son at the time, he was 9 years old. And I was always concerned about the products that he used. So that was everything that he would eat to the products that he used on his body. And he had sensitive skin. So I was very conscious. And he was going to sleepaway camp for the first time. And I was packing him up, and he was still using his baby skincare products, the lotions, and also the body wash. And he said, "Mommy," and at that time he still called me Mommy, "I cannot take my baby wash bottle to camp." And I was like, you're right, you can't. And so I started looking, okay, so like, what's next? Like, what does a 9-year-old boy use that feels like it speaks to him? And I scoured the aisles at Target. I was online at Amazon. I was going into Sephora, Ulta, all the names, and there wasn't anything that really spoke to a tween boy. At the same time, parallel to this, I just happened to have had meetings with beauty brands who wanted to speak to the audience that Teen Vogue had. And those brands were talking again to the same age as my son. And they had skincare brands that were clean, and they wanted to speak to this younger audience. And they had, they were very clear with their direction. And I would ask the question, like, so do you have an effort to speak to boys of this age? And the answer was no. And I thought to myself, so here's a mom. I'm that mom who needs a product like this that my son will feel good about. And I'm certain there's other moms that feel the same way. At the same time, I'm also on the side serving hot lunch at school, speaking to other mothers who have kids my age. And one of those is Julie Bowen. And so we were talking and, hey, what are you using on your son? Gosh, he's still using the baby products, and I can't get him to use, he's not going to use the men's products that tend to be heavily fragrant.
Because the smell would be too strong, essentially?
Too strong, but not only that, just from using synthetic fragrance and synthetic ingredients that could be harmful, to your endocrine system.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, this is going back 8+ years. So even the men's market at this time was just starting to explode, right? Clean was not as mainstream as it is today.
You were working on this 8 years ago?
Yeah. The idea came 8 years ago.
How old are your boys now?
So my oldest is 17 and my younger son is 14. So I have one who is Gen Alpha, the oldest of the Gen Alphas. And then I have one who's the youngest of a Gen Z.
Got it. Okay. And you launched about 2 years ago now, right?
Soon, we're coming up on 2 years. Yeah, but it took us a while. It took us, from talking about it initially to can we do this?
Yeah.
Julie was working on Modern Family at the time, as she started to see that Modern Family was going to be coming to its final season. Then COVID hit. And so when COVID was here, we had already started developing our formulas, and it just took longer than anticipated. But we're also 2 women, 2 moms with full-time jobs who are starting this brand, without the help of an incubator. Many times you have an incubator who would work with a celebrity, and we decided to roll up our sleeves and do this on our own as our side project.
And well, first of all, why did you not want to go with an incubator? Having Julie at your side, I'm sure you could have found one.
Yeah, we truly wanted more control of the process. A number of times, even when we were thinking about our packaging, there were many shortcuts we could have taken. Shortcuts, more so as it came to the cost of the packaging. Our packaging that we selected was custom. We chose, and this came actually because of our son saying to us, we don't want a wrapper around a package. Mom, these packages, and we showed them examples of other packaging, these are cool. And what they were pointing out to was a package that had screened art to it. So not a label that was just applied. So it took longer, it cost more. And again, we wanted control of this business.
Yeah. And you launched with skincare and body care?
We launched with body care, skincare. So our first product that we thought of is what do we need? Well, that first product was the body wash. That's where, that was okay, so when they're in the shower, what is the one product that we need them to use that's going to be effective? And, it's interesting at this age, these tweens, you could have a son, could have a daughter who at the age of 8 years old, the bathroom door is still open. You still know what's going on. You still have some control of reminding them, oh, hey, okay, now you need to wash your hair. Now you need to make sure you get every part of your body. And as Julie likes to say, like, oftentimes for boys, we have to remind them, hey guys, there's an order to bathing, and it's pits, nuts, butts in that order. And if they don't have that down in their heads, if they don't know that there really is a proper order to washing, that when that bathroom door closes and they no longer want you in there, they need to have it down. So it's formulating those smart hygiene habits early, like with this younger generation. So that's why the directions to all of our products are very simple, very straightforward, so that when they are in there, they can turn that bottle around and they'll know exactly what to do.
No, that makes perfect sense. The body wash essentially was an answer to that problem you had when packing for sleepaway camp.
Exactly. And then it came down to like, okay, next product, what do they need? All right. So our kids are starting to stink. They are active. Their hormones are happening. My kids are very active and they play ice hockey. They were playing soccer and baseball, and we would have a morning practice or game, and then we would go off to lunch and they stunk, and we needed a body spray. We needed something that would actually deodorize them, but it was not going to be a cologne. It was not going to be a synthetic fragrance. So for that point, we only use a natural botanical, or very specifically, it's an orange peel oil. So nothing synthetic when it comes to fragrance in our body wash or our body spray. And for our body spray, it's non-aerosol, of course, no aluminum. It's clean. We use the natural ingredient zinc ricinoate, which is an odor absorbing, neutralizing ingredient. And that was our fix. It's a white space that we are solving for, and there really is not a clean odor neutralizing body spray out there in the market. There are deodorants that are clean, and we love those. And we purposely did not create a deodorant because we felt like there are so many out there that a parent can work with their child to determine what they like. But for a body spray, it was something that did not exist.
Interesting. Do you feel like you guys would create a deodorant down the line now that the brand is on the market?
We'll see. There are other products that are in the pipeline that, again, there's more of a white space. Like right now we see like there are a number of clean, very good deodorants. So we'll see. Like we need to be able to create a product that is different, that's superior to what's out there. And right now, I think like deodorant, there's a number of great options.
So I was talking to Sarah, our producer, about this, before starting, and I was telling her a story about my cousins. And the older sister is a girl. I am so bad with ages. I want to say she's like 12, and the boy is like 10. At the Jewish holidays this year, I had those like wheelie Hulken bags. I had like a Hulken bag full of holiday sets of like lip glosses and, like more junior makeup-y type, like perfume, whatever for her. And I asked my cousin, my first cousin, their mom, is there anything I can bring for the boy? And she was like, he wants his first cologne. And I thought, okay, that ladders up perfectly with everything that I've been seeing, in reporting and that I'm following and tracking myself, that these boys are wanting these colognes. So I thought, okay, I'm sure there's something. I found one cologne in my apartment, Jean Paul Gaultier. I'm like, the bottle's a little inappropriate, but if you don't mind, the bottles, they have like the male
they love it.
body. They have like that like male form. She's like, it's fine, whatever, Sarah, thank you. So we get to break fast. And of course, he's like overwhelmed by how much just stuff she has. And he's jealous. And I'm like, but you don't want this stuff. Like, if you want skincare and you want makeup, I am so, so happy to get it for you. Yeah. And I tell my cousin, I'm like, does he want skincare? And she's like, no, I can't even get him to use deodorant. And so I guess like that is my question for you. Like when you guys are putting out these products, like obviously, I think to a large extent, with any products made for tweens who don't yet have much purchasing power, if you will,
Correct.
they
Yeah. Yeah.
they don't control their own wallets really. Do you find that it's a matter of getting, the moms to be like, hey, you
Yes.
gotta wash your face
Yeah.
or whatever? Because I don't know how much tween boys want to moisturize, right? Like,
Right.
what's the situation there? What are you
Yeah.
finding?
All right. So first of all, your scenario is absolutely 100% accurate.
Yeah.
For there, and it actually is, what we've observed from if there's a sister in the household, this boy doesn't want to use their sister's skincare.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to use my mother's skincare, my sister's skincare. Are you kidding me? And so what we found is, and who we target to are to the mothers, because generally it's the mothers who are encouraging their son to take a shower. It's them explaining to them, okay, you need to start washing your face. Or, the blackheads are starting to take place. Okay, this is truly what you need to do. And that is our primary focus, is speaking to those mothers, helping them educate their sons. You're absolutely correct when it comes to the cologne situation. And what we've observed is that the same boys who do want to get a cologne, because that is the trend right now, they're watching TikTok, they're trading their colognes, they're fully into it. They simply have not been exposed to skincare, body care products that have been created for them. And that's the conversation that we have sometimes directly with these kids, is like, we created this for you. And the response is like, really? Like, this is for me? Yes, these products are created for you. And once they hear that, and once they understand that it's specifically for their age, it begins. I was at a school holiday boutique this past weekend. This is a part of like the brand and us also being tied so directly with the kids. The kids were there, probably a few hundred. And I had these one-on-one conversations with these boys and girls, but specifically for the boys. And there's a lot of like, oh, wait, what do you do with the face pad? Show me, teach me. They need more education than the girls. The girls speak amongst themselves, but for the boys, they really need that additional education. And oftentimes that comes from their mother. Many times it comes from a dermatologist, if they're having to go down that road. But then we're also finding there's peers. So as examples, our face pads, those are kept in a gym bag. So after baseball practice, I will watch like one boy will take out a pad and use it to his T-zone. And then another boy will like, hey, what's that? So these are the times that we're living in. They are educating themselves. It's not as frequent as the girls do, but there is that interest. We've also found that sometimes it takes multiple voices for a boy to understand like the how to start a skincare regimen. So it might start with a mother, then they tune out their mothers, which they most often do frequently. But then when they hear it from a friend, or they hear it from a dermatologist, or they even hear it from another mother, there is that aha moment of like, oh yeah, that's what I'm supposed to be doing.
Interesting. So basically a big part of getting JB Skrub products to seem cool to these kids might be getting them to see one of their peers using them. It might be essentially as complicated and as simple as that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's just like the cologne in the sense where like, wait, what are you using? Wait, what's the cool brand? It's all, it starts at the top with a parent, but then essentially what reinforces it is going to be another peer.
And you mentioned like dermatologists. Tell me about, and mothers, like what are essentially, as you approach 2 years, how are you guys marketing? where is it still direct to consumer only? Like, what is the approach right now?
Yeah. So we are direct to consumer. We are sold on Amazon, where we have been discovered by a very wide audience. And then also now you'll find us in a handful of dermatologists' office. And I think I'm certain this comes from what's taking place with Sephora. It could be any retailer, but just the craze of skincare with young kids overdoing it and perhaps using products that have too many highly active ingredients. And so then they end up being in a dermatologist's office with a parent. And this is when a dermatologist is often saying, this is what you need. You need to look for clean ingredients, simple ingredients. You don't need multi-steps, like 10 steps. You need a great face wash. You need a moisturizer. You need to, hydrate your skin. You might need a toner, depending again upon the age. And so we in the last year have had, again, a handful of dermatologists reach out to us and say, I'm getting these mothers with their kids coming in here asking for help. And I, as a dermatologist, have been stocking my shelves with more of the highly active products but now I need to stock my shelves with brands that I have vetted, that I know are gentle, that I know are simple, that look cool, that are speaking to this younger audience. So we have a few dermatologists in the South and on the West Coast who have a small collection utilizing us as one of their brands that speak to this younger generation, a Gen Alpha. So we love that. We also have Big Box that's reached out to us, and they're exploring, okay, how do we speak to this younger generation? We need to vet some brands. We need to curate a collection. And yes, some of these, from a packaging standpoint, look to be more of a female brand. And we like you, JB Skrub, because you're a bit more neutral or you speak to a younger male generation. So Look for us soon in Big Box. But again, I think that you can draw the line between what's happening in some of the craze of the Sephora kids to what dermatologists are doing and helping for their audience, for their clients.
So that is, it sounds like the dermatologists are primarily for now on the West Coast.
Oh, and the South too. So we have a dermatologist in Louisiana, a dermatologist in Alabama. And what's interesting about those doctors is that they're in small rural cities that do not have an Ulta, a Sephora nearby. They'll have drugstores, and there are more generic type brands that are on those shelves. And these kids want something cool. Again, like speaking to your cousin's son, like he wants a cool option.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's talk about the design a little bit. It's brightly colored blues and greens. The logo is blue and green, big like graphic lettering. What was that process like for you? Did you work with an agency? What was sort of the guiding principles? What were you thinking about in terms of how you wanted to sort of visually speak to teen boys and that demographic?
Yeah, so Julie has 3 sons. I have 2 sons, and we have a number of friends in our community. And so we asked these young guys like what they thought were cool. So first we curated a collection of everything from soda cans to fashion brands and looked at what the dudes thought were cool. And then we were talking to agencies, and we started with beauty agencies that tend to work with beauty brands, and they didn't nail it. They couldn't nail it. And it took months until we stumbled upon the agency Italic, based in Venice. The 2 principals are 2 guys. One is a skateboarder, the other one is a surfer, and they truly channeled their inner 12-year-old self. Like they got it. They truly got like, okay, what's cool? And, we landed on a logo that there's power to it. There's energy. The color palette has that energy. And then when it came to the packaging, again, we put more effort, we were very deliberate in how we were going to deliver the product and what the packaging had to do. So as an example, all of the body wash and the shampoo both use pumps, because think about when I gave my son a bottle of my premium Kerastase shampoo, and he flipped it over and he kept squeezing, and he used probably $20 worth of shampoo for one given shampoo time. The boys need a pump. Like we tell them specifically, use 2 pumps. Then when it came to the toner pads, you would generally have your cotton and you would have your toner, and you would have to put them together. And instead, we needed to remove that step. And so all of the pads are in a jar that are soaked. And then also when it came to the lid, we selected a flip top, because thinking about how the toothpaste cap never lands back on the toothpaste. We find it like sitting behind the toilet. We needed to make it easy. When it came to our face wash, there are amazing face washes on the market, but to ask my son to put product in his hand and to create a lather, was not going to happen. Mm-hmm. So we had to create a foaming face wash and make that again, super easy for them. Even the moisturizer, our face lotion, we use a airless pump for that. It's in a tube. And again, thinking about their little fingers going into a jar of moisturizer just did not seem appropriate. So
yeah, you don't know where they've been.
Exactly. Yes.
Totally. And you recently launched shampoo, which was interesting because you launched shampoo but not conditioner. Did
Yes.
teen boys just not use conditioner?
It's good question. We launched our shampoo first and foremost because of the need, because of doing a survey and having thousands of generally moms, sometimes grandmothers, write back and say to us the number one next product for them was shampoo. Mm-hmm. And then we decided to formulate a shampoo that, depending upon hair type, some boys don't need conditioner. And so for this, there is that you'll be able to manage and comb out your hair. For other kids that perhaps might have more curl to their hair, they might need to still use a conditioner. But we wanted to get the shampoo right. So I'm hinting here, you'll probably see an extension of our hair care selection expand soon. One thing that, also comes into play when we're thinking about the shampoo was scalp health. Because these boys don't necessarily wash their hair frequently or, and they're active. And so we also brought a scalp scrubber into the market along with the shampoo, because once again, we were hearing from our dermatologists who helped us formulate, they're not using their fingertips. They're not using their fingers to truly massage their scalp and get the lather going. So we wanted to bring a tool out in the market. And yes, there are plenty of scalp scrubbers out there, massagers, but there really hasn't been one that's been dedicated for, this audience of ours and for them to use. And gosh, even in the last few months before we launched it, we saw that there was a TikTok craze that boys actually do know what to do with a scalp scrubber. They're watching it on TikTok. So that's been a very successful tool to add to the collection. And again, it's not their sisters, it's not their mothers, it's for them.
It's interesting. And I mean, obviously, we all know that for any demographic, people are getting information on TikTok. But, we've talked so much about moms. What about dads? Do you ever find that
yes.
that sons are learning?
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. We never want to omit the fathers, because there are plenty of fathers who do have that role in their particular family, where they are telling their sons like how to bathe, like you need to have a skincare regimen, like, son, you need to do this. And absolutely. And we get this. In fact, it's such a sweet story. Our community has a great direct connection to both myself, to Julie, to our team. And there is a very sweet grandfather who happens to be like our number one customer. He has purchased, in the last year and a half, 17 times from us.
Wow.
And it's all for his grandsons.
Does he just have a lot of grandsons?
He has 5 grandsons, and he discovered the brand, as a number of people do, seeing Julie on TV talking about it. And as a grandfather, he, wanted to be able to provide his grandsons something different other than like the toys and the candy. And so he has introduced JB Skrub. And this speaks to like, he's just one example of thousands that the purchaser is an adult. It's the mother, it's a father, a grandmother, grandfather, or aunt. But ultimately, it's the kids coming back and saying, hey, I've run out, I want more. And that's the proof that we're doing something that works. So yes, we love the male population. Like they are, they are leading the charge as well in this education and helping this younger generation, like learning about these grooming habits.
No, I mean, I think, for young women, like, I think my friends can likely all remember going to their moms and saying, I want to shave my legs and that kind of thing. But for men, you would imagine, and maybe it's closer to puberty than what we're talking about, but like some of those experiences that maybe depending on, and this gets into, the specific family dynamic, but which parent they want to go to about certain things. I know you mentioned that, obviously like young boys are getting info about cologne and stuff like that on TikTok. Are you guys trying to, access potential customers that way in addition to marketing directly to moms?
Yes. TikTok is very important to us. I mean, that's the channel that we are seeing grow faster than our Instagram. Like our Instagram audience tends to be the parents. It's the mother, the grandmother, or father, right? So the messaging there is a bit older. And then with TikTok, that's where we are able to have more fun. That's where we have more fun speaking to moms, but also to directly to our consumer, to boys, to this younger Gen Alpha. And, even recently, we've had a number of young tweens reach out to us, like wanting to be ambassadors. So you'll start seeing more content that is like introducing JB Skrub, or the ambassadors are introducing JB Skrub to their audience. And that we love it. It reinforces, again, the message starting from an adult and then hearing from a peer like, oh yeah, this is a really cool brand, but it's an effective brand and it's one that a dermatologist has approved. So TikTok is here to stay and to grow until the next channel opens, because we all know that there will clearly be something next. But it's been fun.
How old are the ambassadors?
They're young. They're in the tween ages of like 11, 12.
Wow.
But then we've had some even in college that have discovered JB Skrub. So we really have found that the products, they speak to the tweens and the teens. And in some cases, we even have an audience that has said to us, hey, like I'm in my 20s and I really enjoy using like your face wash. It works. I have sensitive skin and like I love it.
Yeah. You mentioned that like some like older women have discovered that they like using the products. And
Yeah.
do you use them?
Yes. So, it's interesting. I've converted my husband, who was using a bar of soap, right? Because that's all he probably knew at the time, to using our body wash. I mean, our body wash is universal. It's highly moisturizing. And right now it's November and it's cold and it's dry out, and everybody could use some extra moisture to their skin. So it smells great and it feels great. And it's truly a universal product. The face wash, I use that. I have sensitive skin, so it's no surprise to us that this has now been discovered just organically by adults that loving our face wash. And the face pads, that also has, we did not seek this product to be used as something to remove makeup, but I will tell you that, again, thinking about what was needed, my son played lacrosse and he would put eye black on. And we heard from other parents how the baseball players, they would do, and then these pads remove the eye black like beautifully without any irritation. And it's easy for the guys. And now girls have said like they've been using them. And we always say like this is not to be used like over an eye, but they are gentle. We're grateful again that this audience is expanded, but we still are staying very true to speaking to our young male audience.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's really interesting to hear you talk about sort of the very organic way that you found that space for it. And I think that's so interesting, like packing for, I mean, it is very much though a very different era, because I talk about this all the time. And like when I recorded that episode we spoke about with the tween girls, like there was not even this level of awareness. Like when I think back on packing for sleepaway camp, I will be the first to admit that I was extraordinarily concerned with the clothes that were going in that duffel bag, right? So like,
yeah,
I'm going to embarrass and date myself here to a very particular era, right? But like the Juicy Couture sweatsuits and the Abercrombie and Fitch and like this certain kind of like graphic t-shirts that said really, really embarrassing things that I'm not going to reveal. But, but like,
we all did it.
But I could not tell you a brand of beauty product. And I grew up in New York City, where people were certainly conscious of what they were bringing to sleepaway camp. And nobody, I mean, they knew they wanted a suitcase full of Abercrombie and Fitch, but nobody thought about what body wash. Like it wasn't, I think my parents probably could have gotten away with sending me to camp with like a baby thing or whatever generic, and I would not have known. And it just shows like how much times have changed. But I can host a podcast episode with like 12 and 13-year-old girls, and one of them is telling me she uses Kerastase in her hair. I almost like spit across the table. I'm like, oh my God, what?
Yeah.
Like, and she pronounced it right.
Right. And to that, point, they're very aware of the brands, what surrounds them, the marketing. We're in Los Angeles, so we spend a lot of time in the car, and so they look and they see, because I did tell them like phones off while we're driving, like they see the marketing, the billboards that are out there, and they know what's up. They know about these $400 colognes that are out there. They're a very savvy crew of kids.
It's really, and you find that goes for both genders, like the boys.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Interesting.
No, they know what's up.
Fascinating. You've sort of alluded to this, but like, to what extent do you like focus group on these things? Like the packaging, the scents, what to launch next? You mentioned surveys.
Yeah. So Julie gets her boys together. I get my sons together, regularly, and we ask them like what they're using, what they like, what's out there, and then we also reach out to our community with surveys asking them, speaking to the mothers essentially, what they need. How can we make their life easier? So we have a long runway of products that will be coming out, again, to help families.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Such a pleasure to chat about this.
Oh, Sarah, thank you. Yeah, this was fun.
Yeah, what a exciting year in this space. And I will be watching to see what's next for the brand.
Terrific. Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Glossy Beauty Podcast. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and leave us a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. It really does help us out. And of course, visit glossy.co/beauty for even more coverage of the beauty industry. Bye.